I was playing a few nights ago, and a guy just catapulted himself across a chasm, shotgunned me, and then dabbed on my corpse. And I was like for a microsecond, I was mad about it, and then just seeing him be like, "Ugh," I was like, yeah, fair enough.
This is Versus, the GameSpot show that pits your favorite games, consoles, franchises, and hot button issues against each other. This week, it's the battle of the Battle Royales as we square off PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds against its fierce rival, Fortnite Battle Royale. That was a lot of Battle Royales in that sentence. Arguing the case for Fortnite is me. I've spent the last couple of weeks making GameSpot's history of Battle Royale games, so I hope I know a thing or two about the genre. And fighting for PUBG is Oscar Dayus, who is more likely to sit down for a nice roast chicken dinner around his mum's house than get anything resembling a first place in PUBG. Each are going to argue the corner for their game over the course of 3 randomly picked topics, with the overall winner being decided by you, the wonderful viewer. Last week's fight between Spyro and Crash saw Oscar notch up yet another win with 62% of the vote for his case for Spyro. Don't worry though, I'll knock him down a peg or 10 this week. To vote on this episode, we're going to be throwing up a clickable poll right here on YouTube, or if you're watching this over on GameSpot.com, let us know who you think has won the debate in the comment section below. Right, let's get into it.
All right, mate.
All right, Dave.
It's the first one we've done together, isn't it?
It is the first one we've done together. First time you would have lost as well by the end of this one.
See, I was about to say, I've seen how Tam treats you, and I was going to be nicer.
Oh.
But now I'm just going to clatter the out of you. Pipsqueak.
Bring it on.
Right, pick a first one then.
Let's go. The first topic though is gameplay. I mean, that's obviously a very broad topic, but I would personally say I prefer the flow of a PUBG match to the flow of a Fortnite match. And that's partly because of the slower nature of PUBG, the slower movement, the more hardcore feel of it means that the tension is always higher, particularly towards the end if you are particularly good at it, like I am.
How many chicken dinners you got?
Probably, I mean, I had chicken Kiev last night, does that count?
No.
Okay. When you do win, or when you do even just get a kill, it feels so good. It feels like more rewarding somehow because of the more hardcore nature of it. And that also comes from the fact that I think PUBG has more customization options when it comes to sort of attachments and stuff. And the depth in terms of its weapons is far greater. Whereas Fortnite's depth, at least in my eyes, comes from the building side of it. Actually, what I think that does is just unnecessarily complicate things. Whereas PUBG is a simpler concept that is done to a deeper and better level than Fortnite.
See, I love them both for completely different reasons. But I think Fortnite has added a whole another level with the building mechanics, and that means the meta is constantly changing. Like if you look at the day one release of PUBG, the first match played in PUBG played out very similarly to the match of PUBG that I played yesterday. Whereas day one Fortnite, it was a lot of people getting to grips with the building mechanics, trying new things. Now people are like, you shoot a squad and a Taj Mahal appears out of nowhere to give these guys cover. You talk about the weapons. I agree there is depth in the weapon customization in PUBG, but in Fortnite, you can have certain weapons that can be used to demolish people's structures. You can have sniper rifles if you're trying to just pick off people and play stealthy. There's just as much depth to the gameplay, I believe, that comes from both the combination of weapons and the building stuff. They play in tandem. And when it comes to tension, for a good PUBG match, I need to set aside like half an hour. At least in Fortnite, I can jump in, go somewhere busy, have some excitement in the early game kills, and then the tension will build towards the end when all these city structures come up.
Yeah, I agree. You do have to sort of invest a little bit more in PUBG, I think. Not in terms of money, but in terms of time. But I think that's the beauty of PUBG, because that is where the tension comes from. The fact that a death means so much more in PUBG because you've put so much more into it than Fortnite. You go in, you rock about, you jump about, you maybe get a couple of kills and then you die and then you just do it again. There's no real sort of like loop there for me. PUBG, despite its sort of more hardcore sort of appearance, I think it's actually easier to get into for a newcomer. I think it's easier to grasp the concept of it at first.
See, I think it's a higher barrier to entry because, like Fortnite, you can go in and you instantly understand the shooting, and then slowly you'll learn what weapons to pick up, what rarity ratings mean, how to build. Whereas PUBG, its DNA was from like the Armor games, which are like super tactical. As much as I do love PUBG, it is asking like a preschooler to become a Marine sometimes. Do you want to be a Marine? Because you're a preschooler.
I really dislike you sometimes, Dave, and I would like to go home, but unfortunately I'm contractually obliged to continue the rest of this debate.
Right, style. I think Fortnite's going to win this because it has some.
I mean, I think I will win this because I have some.
I mean, PUBG has a style. It's got the military simulator, milsim sort of vibe, but that has been tried again and again and again. Whereas Fortnite, there's not really any games that look like Fortnite. It's embraced its cartoony aesthetic that it got from the single-player campaign, and that's given it so many opportunities to be larger than life and bombastic. Like the gameplay elements that are in Fortnite wouldn't work if it was a more realistic looking game. That freedom in style has played into the gameplay, I think, because it means that they've been able to do the whole meteor thing and no one's been like, oh, that wouldn't be real. It's allowed them to do things like the Thanos stuff. It makes it more accessible. It allows a wider audience to approach that game and find something that they love in it. It brings so many light-hearted moments. I was playing a few nights ago and a guy just catapulted himself across a chasm, shotgunned me, and then dabbed on my corpse. And I was like for a microsecond I was mad about it, and then just seeing him being like, "Ugh," I was like, yeah, fair enough.
So, you know, I mean, on that note specifically, you can actually make yourself dab in PUBG when you're diving out the plane. If you look all the way to the left, your character does that. And I think it's funnier in PUBG because it seems so out of place. But in general, I agree with you. I think that the style does, in both games, does feed into the gameplay, and it's the same in PUBG as what it is in Fortnite, except obviously the opposite. Where in PUBG, it's obviously, like you said, a more realistic style, and that feeds into the more realistic gameplay. And it would look weird if a character with military uniform on was going around flossing and dabbing on your corpse and stuff, you know?
Sick, though.
Yeah, I mean, it would be amazing. But I think it also, style isn't just the aesthetic, it's also in terms of the layouts of the maps as well. And I think that it's very obvious in my mind at least that PUBG's maps are a lot more open, I think, than Fortnite's. In PUBG, it's like, I feel so exposed because of the landscape that I find myself in. PUBG just tweaks every area of its DNA like that in order to fit this hardcore sim angle that it's going for, and I think it does that really well. Although I think Fortnite has done well with its style and it does feed in well with its gameplay, at the end of the day, it is just a bit of a B-Tech Pixar, isn't it?
B-Tech Pixar.
Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit, it's like a Disney film, but not as good.
Again, I love PUBG, but it doesn't ooze personality. And when you're so invested in a run, you want to inject a little of your own personality into it because you've fought so hard for it.
No, I disagree. Because you know what else doesn't have personality, Dave? War. War is a hardcore environment. Have you ever fought in a war? Well, I haven't. And from what I know from films...
This is B-Tech argument.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ongoing support and content. Fortnite, I mean, like last week before we had the Thanos thing, it's like the biggest game in the world doing something with the biggest movie in the world. What Epic does really nicely is that they might only have one map, but they make tiny iterations here and there to keep it interesting. The crater that hit Tilted Towers, Meteor, sorry, that's like being repaired. So like you go into the game this week and you see like trucks starting to like cement holes into the ground and stuff, like really nice tweaks like that, as well as having like the big things like Dusty Divot appearing, now you have to fight in a crater. Weapons that are added quite frequently, we just had the epic and legendary burst rifle. All that stuff's doing like a really good job at keeping it fresh. Before the battle pass really took off to inject any personality into your experience meant buying stuff. But now, a free-to-play game that is giving you weekly challenges and content to earn and skins to earn and fun emotes to use, I'm completely fine with that. It gives me a little extra objective to work towards.
I agree with you. I do actually really like the stuff that Epic's doing, particularly with the map in Fortnite. I think that's really cool the way it's changing and little seeds being sown all the time. However, that isn't really a match with the fact that PUBG Corp are literally adding new maps all the time in PUBG. There was obviously Miramar, and then there's Sanhok, and there's another map coming as well set in the Adriatic Sea. So it's like there's by the time all of those are out, you're going to have 4 times as many maps as Fortnite's. And obviously Fortnite's map is changing, but to me there's no comparison. And on top of that, they're obviously refining the maps as well in themselves at the same time as making new ones. You still have new weapons and new items being added and improvements. I think it's really stark to look at PUBG now compared to PUBG even 6 months ago.
You mentioned like the change that you've seen. That change has come around because they're terrified of Fortnite. They've started to put more effort into injecting new content because of Fortnite. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I like that PUBG got competition. I was really worried that it would stagnate. I really liked that new challenger approached and made them support their game more and more. And even beyond that, Fortnite has crossplay. And a big reason of me playing Fortnite was because I wanted a Battle Royale experience with my friends, and not all of them wanted the military sim experience, not all of them had a PC. So I was able to just play with my friends who were playing on Xbox on PC, and it worked seamlessly. And there hasn't really been a game or a company that has done crossplay like they have and as effectively as they have. And it's no reason why it's now the biggest game in the world. I think the variety they keep adding, the support they keep adding, the environment that they give to players has meant that people from all walks of life have started playing it.
I think you're right in that they're definitely healthy competition for each other, and I think you're also probably right in that the reason PUBG Corp are improving PUBG so rapidly now is probably a response to Fortnite, but the fact that we have 2 such good games occupying a similar space but very opposite ends of the spectrum is, let's face it, great for everyone. And I play both and continue to enjoy both. But yeah, it's that competition that keeps things fresh, and that's why I'm glad you're here, Dave, because you keep me from stagnating in real life.
It was a very pleasant end to that argument, wasn't it? It's the first time for Versus.
Yeah, but I'm still going to knock you out, though.
Shut up, you prick.
Let us know who you think debated their case better by voting in our poll in the top right corner of the video, or if you're over on GameSpot.com by putting your thoughts in the comments section below. It'll be your votes that decide who wins, so make yourselves heard. Right, time for everyone's favourite section of the show, the week's Quickfire Round. A series of dumb, fun questions written by the rest of the UK team. And pinky promise, I haven't seen any of these ahead of time.
How would you explain your game to someone 40 years older than you? I mean, how do you explain Fortnite?
It's like putting up a garden fence, but someone's trying to shoot you at the same time. And the last one alive with the biggest garden fence wins.
If your game was an air freshener, what smell would it be? I think Fortnite would be one of those ones that you plug in and it gives you a new scent every day because it's always changing.
That's a great one, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me that ammo.
Why did I give you that one?
Fortnite would be one of those ones that you plug in and it gives you a new scent every now and again because it's always being updated. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you've won that one.
If Fortnite was an acronym like PUBG, what would it stand for?
Off, righteous. Now I'm too.
The Oscar Dayus story. I can't top that. I'm not even going to try.
Reenact your favourite emote from the game.
Mine's called the boneless. I don't think I can do it sitting down, but it's like all your limbs go loop. You got it.
If you could bring any famous/fictional character into your game, who would it be and why? Jeff Goldblum, because I just love Jeff Goldblum.
Like RoboCop would be cool. Judge Dredd. We've had John Wick as well, basically.
Stuart Little.
I didn't think you were playing Fortnite. Please put a picture of him, Stuart Little up now.
I hate this. We're out.
Remember to get your voice heard in our poll or in the comments section below and tell us who you think argued their case better. And if you enjoyed this episode of Versus, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'll have new episodes of the show every Wednesday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Also, go and watch my history of Battle Royale. It's really good, if it's out yet. It might not be out yet. It's really good, though.